Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Ango, and today it is Sunday, April 10th, 2022. AEW Braun Strowman drama. A lot of tweets getting people talking. We're going to talk about that. Also, in addition to that, the Briscoes have dropped the GCW Tag Team Championships. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And we also got to talk about WWE possibly ending the brand split. This is something that we're going to pay very close attention to for the next couple of months. With that being said, if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you can get notified on all of the latest content. Now, with that being said, we're going to drop some very, very interesting stuff here. The Briscoes have dropped the belts to Allie Katch and Effie at GCW Paranoid, and this is the second time the Briscoes have dropped those GCW Tag Team Championship belts. Now, I believe that the Briscoes and everything that they have been doing up until this point is probably the best scenario for them until we wait and find out what's actually going to happen with them and AEW. Now, the reason for that is because HBO, Warner Media has been merged with Discovery Plus. So now that the company is going into the hands of new executives and new staff, there is a very good chance that potentially the new staff could be treating this whole situation differently. Now, with that being said, we don't have any official confirmation, but if you have been watching this channel, I have been telling you that the Briscoes, NWA, Impact, GCW seems to be the more likely scenario. However, with Discovery now taking the reins with any sort of Warner Media stuff, there is always a good chance that they could very well have the Briscoes on TV. There's also a really good chance that the people at Discovery could very well say, hey, AEW needs to change their entire product in order for them to re-sign with them. So there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen when it comes to TV contracts and negotiations. I don't want to put the thought out there that AEW is going to somehow lose this TV deal. I mean, technically anything is, it could be expected, but just because it's possible. But I don't think there's a scenario here in which AEW's TV deal gets dropped. I just think maybe along the way, depending on how the executives at Discovery want to treat this entire thing, it could pretty much determine whether or not AEW even has a TBS TNT television deal, whether or not they continue to be TV 14 or move down to PG, maybe less blood, less guts. Maybe, maybe the Briscoes can come back. Maybe they can't. I don't know. But obviously, the Briscoes have been having some incredible tag team matches as of late. And for them to drop the GCW tag titles definitely has me thinking, is there a possibility that we may see them in AEW soon? With that being said, I do want to move over to the next topic of today's video, WWE's brand split. Now, you may have been watching in the last few weeks of WWE, the lead up to WrestleMania and the build up afterwards. WWE, Raw, and Smackdown superstars have appeared on both brands. Now, the reason for this is because WWE was branding those shows as WrestleMania branded shows. So WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania Smackdown, Raw after WrestleMania, Smackdown after WrestleMania. That was kind of like the loophole and them having wrestlers go back and forth. Now, what's really, really interesting is that WWE is starting to advertise more crossover in the next coming weeks. So, for example, on Monday Night Raw, there is this belief that the New Day and Drew McIntyre will be headed to Raw. Now, the reason for this is because WWE is promoting and advertising a dark match. However, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins are also being advertised for SmackDown later this month. So there is this speculation that is basically coming out that is, hey, WWE could very well be ending the brand split. Also, you got to keep in mind the Usos will be competing against RK Bro for the title unification tag titles, and we don't know when that is set to take place, but the belief is that that will be happening soon. So with WWE unifying the World Championship and the Tag Team Championship belts, I'm very curious if maybe WWE goes that route with the Women's Championship and the mid-card belts. Obviously, once that happens, that will really dictate whether or not WWE is going to end the brand split, or perhaps they just unify all the belts and the champions will work both brands. I do believe that the brand split is better for television. I've been watching WWE for years, and I feel like WWE television was worse when there was no brand split. That's just my personal opinion. I know not a lot of people agree with it, but I think the rosters are so bloated. Having the same faces on both shows, I think just the people that aren't being used in general won't be used going forward, and that just makes it worse. So it's already a problem, and to begin with, it's a problem that gets worse. I think the brand split needs to stay. I think AEW and ROH should very well have a brand split. They should be treated as different territories. That's how Raw and SmackDown should be treated. But we'll see what ends up happening. I don't really know what to expect, but I do look forward to seeing what happens. I will be at Raw in Detroit, and I look forward to it. It actually seems like they got a lot of stuff advertised for it, and it does appear to be a good-looking show. And WWE always does a great job in Detroit anyway, so it should be a fun time. All right, guys. Braun Strowman, man, this guy's been going off on Twitter, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. Braun Strowman said on Twitter, "This is the same guy that pays the dirt sheets and says his wrestlers are free to do whatever, but blackballed them from CYN shows. Why? Because we're in threat." But that's not the only thing. See, the thing is, Braun Strowman, he is not too happy. And, honestly, this is a very, very strange scenario, and I want to kind of talk about this in depth because there's more tweets actually. So Braun Strowman, you guys know him as Adam Scherr. He tweeted out on April 8th. He tweeted out, "An independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-CYN online community aren't real individuals. It's a staff running thousands of accounts and an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely. These are real people. Who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing? Hashtag what a mark." So obviously there's a lot of people who are taking shots at Braun Strowman for this because of the fact that he's obviously taking shots at Tony Khan. Now, what really this comes down to is control your narrative. There has been this belief that wrestling companies do not want to be associated with control your narrative. I'm not sure as to why or what or whatever. I do know from photos I have seen online, they seem to draw pretty well. I don't know what to expect with the control your narrative brand or anything like that, but there has been a lot of talk about CYN and its affiliation and just having other wrestlers come there, and apparently it's like off the table. Now, there's also been talks about Braun Strowman and AEW in general, because in the past we have heard time and time again that there was plans for Braun Strowman to possibly join AEW or Impact Wrestling. However, contracts couldn't be agreed to, and it just really appears that Braun Strowman does not like AEW, and it could be for a variety of reasons. But one thing that was really, really interesting is that somebody had tweeted Braun Strowman, and it was something about punishing and 3 hours of Raw, right? Adam Scherr, a.k.a. Braun Strowman, responds, "Ha ha 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 ha. Dynamite would be a far worse punishment." So this is definitely something that's getting people talking. A lot of people are reacting to it. And, at the end of the day, the way you got to look at this is Braun Strowman, who, whether you guys want to admit it or not, was a big free agent name that was not signed, just as Bray Wyatt was, right? For anybody to be outspoken about AEW is not a good thing for AEW, right? Because at the end of the day, AEW should be a fan favorite. And one of the things that I've noticed lately is that there seems to be this, I don't know if it's a community, I don't know exactly what it is, but there seems to be something happening where people in general, they're not as inviting to the AEW brand. And I've said this before. It's almost like, it's just, there's a lot of negativity surrounding it right now, because if you're a fan of this, you can't be a fan of that to join AEW's community. I don't know. It's a very, very strange scenario. I think it's silly. I wish the AEW fans and the community was a little bit more inviting, but it doesn't always appear that way. I see what it's like in the Discord and stuff like that. And I'm not saying Braun Strowman, has a right to be wrong or not a right to be wrong. At the end of the day, his personal feelings are his personal feelings. I just don't think it's a good look for people to be negative towards AEW. They're still growing. They're still trying to get their brand off the ground to a larger audience. And as of late, it just feels like a lot of people have been negative towards it, which obviously doesn't help the brand. It doesn't help WWE's brand either, but specifically, I think a lot of people are looking at the Tony Khan tweet, and a lot of people are looking at this social media behavior. And now you have Braun Strowman being outspoken. I'm curious to see how this influences other free agent signings, because ultimately you can say what you want about Vince McMahon or Scott D'Amore, but those guys aren't actively tweeting on Twitter. They're really just focused on their product, for better or for worse. And sometimes it seems like with AEW, that's not necessarily the case. This drama is very, very crazy to see because I thought for sure we would see the Titan and AEW. And I think even at one point it would have made sense for AEW to sign him. But at this point, I feel like he would just be another wrestler. And it is what it is. You know, whatever he's doing with CYN, I'm curious to see how that pans out. I think there's a lot of people judging the product without necessarily knowing the product. And I admit, like, I've also been in that boat too. Like, it just seemed kind of weird in the way they've gone about business, but I'm curious to see how it pans out because I want every wrestling company to succeed, more places for people to work, and obviously more wrestling to cover. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Braun Strowman, AEW drama, Tony Khan, Braun Strowman, not good stuff. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time. Peace.